This is the Newtrek Alpha, with an unusually large 34mm reinforced mirrored objective lens. Never heard of Newtrek? Well, neither have I. They're new to the US market. But as they say, go big or go home. Let's skip the boring unboxing videos and just take a look at what you get inside the box. This is the Newtrek Alpha, and if you've never heard of Newtrek, don't be surprised. I'd never heard of them either until I met them at SHOT Show this year. But what caught my eye was this particular micro reflex sight that they had, not just because it has a sort of Mass Effect or Cybertruck aesthetic, but because it has a fairly wide window. In fact, this is about 1.5 inches wide, though the rest of it is fairly standard in terms of its dimensions. Just a hair over 2 inches long and just under 1.5 inches tall. So depending on your particular slide and your pistol, this may or may not fit comfortably in the cut on the slide. It has an RTS footprint, and it does come with an RTS to Picatinny adapter. So we're going to be testing this out on my Glock 17 as well as on my carbine for recoil testing a bit later. But what also caught my eye was that this particular model, and they do make 2 different models, has a changeable reticle. They have a standard 6 MOA, which is a pretty fat and visible dot, but this version is the multi-reticle, which has a 2 MOA dot, and you can kind of see that here. You're not going to be able to see it with a great amount of sharpness just because this table is too close to the camera here, but we'll take it outdoors so you can see that reticle more clearly on a target. But you can see that if you press the plus button, you can cycle between the different reticle types. You can go from the 2 MOA dot to a 60 MOA circle dot, and then press it again, and it goes into a 60 MOA just circle starburst type of reticle. And let me just bring that back to its dot, and you can use these 2 buttons to change the brightness of the reticle. And if you press the minus button for 3 or 4 seconds, it does manually turn off the micro reflex sight, and this does have motion activation, so we're going to leave that motion activation on for now. Now, it's powered by a single 2032 coin battery, and it does have a side battery tray, so you don't have to unmount your micro reflex sight to change the battery out. And it has a standard sort of 50,000 hour battery runtime off of the battery, which is roughly 5 years of runtime. Now, those kind of measurements are based on, I guess, depending on how bright your particular reticle is, and I'm sure they're measuring it by the dot as opposed to the circle dot in terms of if you're going to have a brighter, larger reticle, it's going to go through your battery for a while. But the advantage here is that you can swap out your 2032 coin battery pretty easily without having to re-zero out your optic. Now, it does have a windage and elevation adjustments using a hex screw, and it does come with a tool for that, which is a kind of a neat little multi-tool that it comes with. Here, we're going to make those adjustments onto it, and you can also use this tool to mount your device as well. It comes with a couple of different heads on it. Big, I guess, Phillips head or plus there, and you've got your hex on here, you've got your star, and you've got a flat head. So let's adjust this. I think this looks like, to me, either a hex or star. So let's go with the star here and see how these adjust. Yep, that star or torque screw fits quite well into it. Very light in terms of you can't barely hear the clicks on here, but I can feel it indexing. So at least that's a good indicator to me of when you're making adjustments of how many clicks you have added or to this in terms of windage and elevation. And each click is 1 MOA. So we'll make those adjustments when we have this mounted onto our firearm in a bit. But overall, it's a nice looking piece. Let's take a look at the changing reticle, starting with the 2 MOA dot. I press the plus button for 3 seconds and it switches to the 60 MOA circle and dot, and press it again for 3 seconds and I get the 60 MOA sunburst circle.
I find the circle and circle and dot to be helpful, especially when shooting long range, as they provide a visual reference for holdovers. After zeroing out the Alpha at 25 yards, I moved back to 100 yards and ran 50 rounds through my AR, and the Alpha held zero.